Hi, all. Happy Wine Wednesday.
Happy Wine Wednesday. How's it going, Mish?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Good. We are so excited to be with you guys today. We've got Kennedy. Obviously, you see a third face. We are going to jump into introducing her here in a little bit. But before we dive into everything that is Kennedy, we're going to dive into the wine, as we always do first. So we are drinking Saint-Brie Vintage 2021 today. This is a really fun wine for folks who want, typically gravitate towards a Sancerre, which is a fancier version of a Sauvignon Blanc. This, to me, is a little bit more interesting than a Sancerre. So this is going to be, it's kind of an alternative, and it is done between the Loire Valley and the Chablis area, and it really offers the best of both worlds. It's super nuanced, it's mineral driven, it's definitely a really approachable price point, and it is literally sourced from the only appellation in Burgundy that is allowed to grow it. So a little bit of exclusivity there. And this one's not done in stainless, like a lot of the other wines that we've been drinking. That stainless really gives it that zippy, high acidic profile. This one's not done in stainless, and it's actually aged on lees for a little while, which are those little yeast deposits. And what that does is it gives the wine a little bit more texture and makes it fuller bodied than like your typical Sauvignon Blanc, again, giving it a little bit more character, but still super fresh and definitely something that you will grab for in summer and at a really reasonable price point. So definitely something to try if you guys are trying to expand your horizons and not drink the same old Sancerre or Sauvignon Blanc. If you want to impress your friends who are always gravitating towards those varietals, definitely a really good option.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you, Jenny. Let's get into our rose and thorn of the week. Jenny, you want to go first?
Sure. Okay, so I know that we always talk about on here like having relaxing weekends and how much I covet them, and I never seem to actually do that. But this weekend I did. I think I only left the house like 2 times, and one of them was because Mitch and I went on date night on Friday at a new restaurant, which is amazing. If you live in Austin, definitely check out ATX Cocina. It's worth the hype. I know it's really hard to get in, but it's freaking delicious. So definitely recommend. But then it was just like football and cleaning, and I watched a bunch of movies yesterday because I was desperately in need of just like a chill veg day. And my thorn was literally watch like the worst movie of all time yesterday. It was the biggest waste of my life, but I was invested because I was doing like a tour of the 90s because I love the 90s. And we watched Miss Congeniality, which I don't think was actually in the 90s, but very early 2000s. And that movie is like funny and great and like didn't age well, but like still was good. And then I saw that they had a sequel that I had never seen before.
I didn't know that.
It is horrible, you guys.
It's not good.
Really?
No.
I feel like I have to just watch it now.
Kennedy, I was like, what is this? Like literally, can I have my 2 hours back?
It's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Is it? Okay.
A lot of like cringy moments, horrible plot, terrible acting. Like if something bad is happening in a movie, it's in this movie. So do not waste your time. 0%.
Wow. Okay.
I'm disappointed in you, Sandra Bullock. Just kidding. What about you, Mish?
Yes, let's see. So my rose of the weekend is I went out and celebrated one of my cousin's birthday yesterday in New York City, and we went to Alleva, and I like had like different thoughts on I think what lava was going to be. I kind of like whenever I hear like lava or like Tao, I always think it's gonna be like very like nightclubish and just like over the top. But actually it was just like a normal Italian restaurant. And it was like so quiet too, but it was really good. It was phenomenal. So if you're ever in New York City, I definitely recommend it. It's actually close to Times Square. So I know like Jenny went, I think your friend was coming to visit. You were like asking for recommendations for Times Square. And normally I don't like going out in Times Square, but now I'm like glad to say I have a recommendation for anyone thinking out there.
That's awesome.
And then, well, I guess my thorn of the week is it's been really rainy here in New York City. And then also I can't stay out late on work nights anymore. I realized last night I was so tired today.
Fair enough. We're getting old.
Yeah, we are getting old. So, Kenny, our rose and thorn is our rose is like one of our highlights of the week. It could be like personal, business wise, and then a thorn was something that didn't go well for you, or kind of like a low point of the week. So, why don't you go and tell us your rose and thorn of the week?
Yeah. So Sunday we took out our boat with my brother, his girlfriend, my dad, his wife, and two other sets of friends, and we just kind of hung out by the beach, and it was super nice. So beautiful weekend. Got to catch up. Got to, see my family combined with friends, and it was really nice. And then as for my thorn, I would say probably getting my puppy fixed. It was kind of sad, but he's all good now, so that's okay. But yeah, so that's that.
Oh, it's so sad. They're so pathetic when they have to go through that. And you're just like, I want to help you, but I can't.
Yeah, and we did it to him, so it's even worse.
I know. It's like inflicted bias. Oh, I just love babies. Poor thing.
I know.
Well, we are so thrilled to have you, Kennedy. Honestly, you have been a wealth of knowledge in the short time that Misha and I have known you, and you have a lot to offer, not only in the terms of ideas, but just your background and your experience. So for everyone who is tuning in, Kennedy is going to talk to us today about how to effectively market your business. And she is a wizard at it. So I'm very excited to have her share. So, before we kind of dive in, we're going to ask you a ton of questions because we think that you're a wealth of knowledge. So could you just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background and how you got started?
Yeah, absolutely. So hi, Kennedy here. So I went to school, Southeastern University, for marketing, and it was fantastic for a little bit until I realized I had to take a statistics class, and I was like, oop, nope, I'm going to switch over into psychology. So did psychology for a bit, and then the world pulled me right back into marketing. So while I was in school, I was actually working for a luxury outdoor design company, and the marketing individual that was there at the time, she ended up leaving, and I was in a sales position. So one night I went home and built a PowerPoint. Could have used something better than that, but I definitely did. Did some competitive research on organizations that were around or were competing in similar markets, kind of compared their social media sites, what was working, what wasn't working, and went in, pulled in the board of directors and was like, hey, let me do your marketing. So they actually were like, oh, okay, well, we still need you to do your sales job, but you can certainly do marketing. So I was like, okay, awesome. And in that time, I did billboard marketing, digital marketing, social marketing, door hangers, benches, all of that good stuff. So while I was all in school, which was fun, and then I took on a side client for a real estate broker and kind of helped him out. And I've been doing that for a couple years now. And now I'm currently in a role, marketing director here at Forefront. And it's been beautiful. So yeah,
I love it. And we are all so excited to have you because as Kennedy has pointed out to us millions of times, a lot of people, like Misha and I, we're in the throes every day of running our business. So marketing, obviously is of the utmost importance, but it's kind of the last thing on our minds. Right. So it's nice to have somebody who has those years of experience to draw upon to kind of run point on that. So we definitely appreciate you.
Thank you. We do so much. We couldn't do it without you. Okay. So, Kennedy, to set the stage, let's begin with the basic fundamentals. So, what is marketing and why is it essential for businesses of all sizes?
Yeah, so basically, marketing is going to be a source of different approaches to communicate and promote a business. So, it's a platform to pull in different strategies and to be able to say, here is your audience, here is your consumers, this is who we are. We want to solve a problem for you. And that's basically what marketing is knowing your market.
Perfect. And then kind of to piggyback off of what Misha was saying, it's funny that you talk about marketing because for a lot of people that are within industries, especially in the professional service sector, I feel like it just feels like this elusive thing. So is it the onus of the business owner to essentially derive that target market, or is that something that they can work with a marketing professional to help build out?
Yeah, absolutely. So you certainly need to have, as a business owner, you certainly need to understand what your business does and what problem you solve. So going in with a marketing agency or with an individual, you need to kind of have that in mind. And you certainly could build that on your own if you wanted to. But if you have somebody who's experienced to know what to look for, what is attention grabbing, what's actually going to create a brand opposed to just a logo, that will certainly set you apart.
Okay, perfect. And it's kind of like whenever you think about marketing and like identifying that target audience,
Mhm.
I think that's something that's lost on a lot of people is like, I don't,
Mhm.
my target audience is anyone, right?
Right.
Anyone who's willing to work with me, anyone
Yeah.
who's willing to buy from me. So, talk a little bit about how important it is to narrow that down, and in order to create a successful marketing strategy.
Yeah. So you kind of, again, it's always going to come back to solving a problem. You need to know what you're trying to address and how your service or product solves your consumer's problem, basically. So, yeah, that's basically what you need to keep in mind. So, yeah.
Mhm. And then, this is like you're bringing up so many thoughts in my brain with regard to like how to, with this question specifically. Do you think that these marketing strategies and creating a target audience, like, is that industry agnostic? Everyone needs to do that.
I think there's certainly different approaches. Your demographic is definitely going to change your approach as to how you market regarding platforms, timing, like different times of year, their purchasing trends. You need to understand who you're communicating to, but how you do it definitely varies. Some companies can certainly explode on Facebook and LinkedIn, where
Yeah.
if it's a younger crowd, they would do, or a younger, more vibrant product, it may do better on Instagram or TikTok. So you certainly should have a presence on each platform. It doesn't mean you need to post on it like 3 times a day on each platform, but you certainly need to have a presence because you don't want to exclude somebody just because you do not think they're going to be on a platform because of their age, their purchasing patterns. You want to make sure that if they are looking for you, they can find you on any platform.
Fair enough. And there's a lot of
Yeah.
platforms, you guys.
There are.
There is. It's kind of how can businesses determine which ones are the best, fit for their specific industry and goals? Like you're saying, there's so many. How can, someone narrow it down to find the perfect fit for them?
Yeah, so there's many different tools that allow you to understand the demographics that you're going to be targeting. For instance, Facebook Pixel, it is a audience metric tool that you can embed into your Facebook profile, business account, and you can actually see who in it like interacts with your socials. And so that's an important tool to use, but also having an understanding of who is on what platform majorly affects how you communicate on each platform.
Mm.
Usually, you should tailor your copy or the words inside of a post to that audience. So it shouldn't always exactly be the same unless it's pretty broad. But if you want to have the best reach, certainly tailor it to the demographic on specific platforms.
Got it.
Okay.
And now with the pixel, does it tell you like specifically who the person is or just their demographic
It's
information?
it's pretty much demographics. It's usually like more so of like charts opposed to like this is Susie. So yeah. So but I'm sure you could do a little bit of digging in there and kind of figure out who those demographic or those graphs are talking about. But it's good to know. I mean, and I would say almost every time I've checked Facebook, it's usually women that are on there for the majority, not all, but we kind of take the cake for Facebook.
I mean, that makes sense. I feel like we
Yeah.
definitely were the first people to show up for digital marketing just in general.
Mhm.
And now I always joke with my husband that we kind of just like live on Instagram.
Mhm.
So it's just like a previous iteration. So
Yeah, it is. Absolutely.
okay, so I think too, something that a lot of business owners, especially maybe ones that are a little bit more mature,
Mm.
maybe a little bit more old school in the way that they run their business, they have an understanding of, two different sectors of marketing, if you will, one
Mhm.
being online and one being offline.
Right.
So could you share some insights about, both online and offline marketing channels that have shown consistent success throughout your endeavor on the marketing journey?
Yeah, absolutely. So in regards to not online marketing, is word of mouth. Storytelling is a big part of marketing, and it's beautiful to tell a story. But if somebody else tells that story for you, their experience with your service, with your product, they're doing the marketing for you. And it is heavily, heavily impacting businesses, even to this day. That's why you see people now posting testimonials, where before you typically wouldn't see that. And it's important. I mean, anytime I go to buy clothes, I'm going to look through the reviews. Now, that's basically new age word of mouth. And it's really important when it comes to buying or using a service.
That's amazing. And, it kind of reminds me of the book that I think a lot of financial advisors have read this, and certainly a lot of entrepreneurs on the whole, which is story selling. And I think that stories are contagious in this country. Like, people love to hear stories. They love people that can curate stories. And if you have a compelling story, people want to get to know you and they want to work with you. And that's something that, especially in the professional service sector, I struggle with for a very long time. And then I've had to work with people like you to help me craft that story and make it compelling. And I think that's why so many people, marketing can get a bad rap sometimes, because people are like, what am I getting from this? And if you're so in your business that you don't understand how to tell a story about your business, then that's a problem, right? Because then you're going to stagnate and put yourself in a position where people don't know what it is that you have to offer.
Absolutely.
Right.
And nothing better than foot soldiers, right?
Right. You need them.
Exactly. Yeah. And, in this day and age, I feel like a company's brand is everything. And it's so important to brand your business. And can you tell us a little bit about how businesses can develop a unique brand for themselves that will set them aside from their competitors?
Yeah. So number one, know your competitors. You can go through and look and see what you genuinely like about a competitor, something that you can appreciate. You can even go through their steps of service, request a quote, call, talk to them, see what it's like to be a part of their business, and kind of tailor it to what you see for your mission, and kind of understand what your competitors are doing. And even in similar fields, it doesn't have to be exactly what you're doing, but somebody who's not, let's just say, financial advising. You go and you look up all the financial advisors and you're like, I like this, I like that, I like this. Okay, well, let's go look for business developers. See what they're doing, how they're approaching it, because they may have a different mindset, a different RAS filter that's going to allow them to approach marketing and tell a story a little bit different, but you could use that. So that's really important to do. And then again, your own storytelling. The best algorithms that are out there when it comes to businesses is when they can see your face. They want to see your face. So tell the story, tell it how it impacts you, what you've learned, how you've grown. It's the one and only place that, where before, your customers and you are in the same place all of the time. Social media is a very, very awesome place to be for businesses and consumers if you can communicate to them properly. And it's just a really mutual ground to kind of have beautiful transactions.
I love it. And I love that you delineate the difference between social media and more, conceptual, essentially markets for people to leverage in terms of like, what can we pull as a lever from a marketing perspective?
Right.
And it's funny because I feel like we're definitely in the age right now where everyone's obsessed with social media. It's definitely had a resurgence, if you will. I know it's been around for a long time, but because of all the influencers and everything and how you can actually make a living off of it now, I feel like it's top of mind for a lot more folks in the professional sector. So since content marketing specifically has gained so much importance over the years, what role do you think that it plays in a marketing strategy overall? And kind of tapping into the story selling that you were talking about and the storytelling that you were talking about. How do you create, or, how do you come up with these ideas to create content that resonates with your target audience? Like what levers should you be pulling? How should you be ideating about this?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, use keywords. So anytime you search a question, typically you are going to use, and throughout multiple people, you're going to use the same words. So once you're able to hone in on that keyword and use those more and more throughout your blog post, your social copy, whatever that may be, it's actually going to skyrocket you to the top of search. So it's important for you to understand the kind of questions people are asking, so you can answer them properly. So for instance, to better get to know your audience or the things that they're talking about, if you have a product, let's say you're selling razors, you go on Amazon, you look at razors, see what they're saying. This razor, it got rusty, or this razor is amazing, my legs have never been so smooth. And you kind of can sit there and you can kind of figure out what words they're saying, what they're talking about, for you to better communicate to them and solve their problems.
Love it. Love it. And I think that that's something that, just from personal experience, to piggyback off of what Kennedy is saying, it's really helpful to have a thinking partner. When you're thinking about how you should curate social content, what's going to resonate with your audience. Sometimes it's really hard to see the forest from the trees. And you can also second guess yourself about what you think would resonate when actually it would. So super helpful to have a thinking partner, even if it's maybe someone that doesn't have as much of an extensive background that Kennedy does, just somebody that you can kind of ideate with, I have found to be super helpful.
Yeah. And another thing, kind of piggybacking off that, so in, let's just say, tax, you are going to communicate because you have the knowledge of tax. Or for somebody like me, if I don't have that experience, having a marketing person to kind of ask those questions and answer and kind of have that dialogue in between will better help you communicate to your consumers. Because if you're using, abbreviations or, industry terminology, that may not communicate properly over to your consumers. So it's super important to kind of have that middleman, and whether it's, to communicate or to review what you're going to post out, it's incredibly important.
Yeah, y'all got to make sure that everyone's speaking the language or picking up what you're throwing down, because if not, you're literally... And like Eric talked about in our last podcast, a confused mind says no.
Correct.
Yeah, that's so true. And now, all this like social media talk, and businesses are putting so much into their social media efforts. How can businesses measure the ROI, or return on investment, of their social media efforts?
Yeah, so you definitely need to set defined goals. Whether it's, we want to reach this many followers, we want to have this many lead conversions. And also a really good tool to use is A/B testing. So basically, and I believe Facebook even offers this for free. So if you were to go schedule a post or a video, and it gets to pick a thumbnail. So the cover of whatever video it's going to play, before it plays, it's that pause moment. They can pick two different kinds. It'll be either being or stoic, and it'll actually test on Facebook who interacts with which one of those better and who stays on that longer, because that is going to actually give you the information that you need and the conversions that you're looking for. And you want to test what actually works. You don't want to keep doing the same thing over and over if it's not turning into, loyal customers or a solid following base.
Love it. Love it. And I think that's something, thank you so much for asking that question, Michelle, because that's a question that I get a lot with folks that are like, hey, how do I even know if what I'm doing is working? And I think a lot of people in the marketing sector specifically use the spaghetti method. I know I've been guilty of it before. So definitely, we talk about all the time on this podcast about setting goals, right? You should have goals for marketing as well. These are things that you need to be thinking about before you just start trying things. So, definitely really insightful from Kennedy there with regard to how you're actually going to measure that ROI so that you can make sure that you're being a smart spender with regard to your business.
Right. Yeah.
So for businesses with a marketing budget, speaking about being a smart spender, how can they allocate their resources effectively between different marketing channels and strategies? Sometimes it feels like there's so much. So, where do they begin?
Yeah, so it kind of goes back to your A/B testing. You really want to see what's actually working, and if it's not, stop spending money on it. A lot of the times people just create content, or as you say, throw spaghetti at the wall and hope it sticks. Well, if you're creating something that doesn't have value, it's time to go through, and I definitely suggest every quarter going through and kind of analyzing what's working and what's not. Because let's just say you're posting motivational quotes every Monday, and nobody likes it. But you're posting it because you need to post something on Mondays. Yeah. How about don't do that? Try to switch it up. Maybe you have something else that really works. If your reels are working really well, or if, personal photos, whatever it may be, if it's succeeding, do more of that, because that's what you want to do. You don't want to just fill a space with billions of photos that are already out there. You want to create value, create a unique value proposition by giving content or creating content that is actually going to impact somebody.
Yeah. That's huge, guys. I hope you were listening to what she just said, because filler content, I see it so often, it's not effective, and you're wasting time, money, and resources when you create it. So less is more when it comes to this type of thing. So just make sure that you're really, thinking about what it is that you're trying to put out there.
Yeah. And if you have a marketing individual that's helping you, tell them. If you see it and you don't like it, let them know. They'll be happy to change it. It's just, you got to look at the numbers, see what's working. Is your followers count increasing? Are your conversions coming over? And if it's not, switch it up.
Definitely. Love it. Yeah. And I know in our industry, building relationships with our clients or customers is super important. And we want to stay in front of them and get in front of them as much as we can. Can you share with us some tips on how businesses can build and maintain a strong relationship with their customers through social media or marketing efforts?
Yeah. So like I mentioned before, email campaigns do really well, and constantly just being top of mind, providing value, not just sending out, random, little newsletters that don't really make an impact. Educate them, be an authority in your field, give them something that they wouldn't have known without you. Which is incredibly important. But if you want to switch it up and, they're going to be a part of that email list, they're going to get the email. But if you want to kind of set some milestones in your CRM system, make a note of it to say, hey, I want to follow up with this person, every quarter, whatever it may be. If you want to give them a call, or even you can send them videos via email and just hey Susie, how's it going? Just thinking of you. Everything's doing good. Just wanted to reach out. Whatever you want to say on there, that's going to set you apart. Because if you get an email with a video on it and it's somebody you're going to be like, what is this? Now you have somebody who opened your message, who now knows that you were thinking of them. They took the time to talk to you. That's a big separator in the industry. So if you're looking for something to, switch up, certainly try that.
Yeah, I really love that idea.
Yeah, it's so interesting to think, I'm very stuck in the social media game in my brain. So it's interesting whenever people talk so much about email marketing, and you're right, from a psychological standpoint, when I receive, a targeted email, I'm definitely going to read it. So it's definitely a very, a great strategy that's not very, it's very budget friendly. So
certainly is
things to think about from that perspective. So obviously the marketing landscape is constantly evolving, right? Definitely there's no such thing as constant with regard to that industry specifically. So what strategies would you suggest that businesses avail themselves to adapt and make sure they're staying agile with regard to industry trends and consumer behaviors?
Yeah. So one of my favorite saying is, you don't want to be last to the party. So if you see things that are switching up in the industry, AI, for example, learn about it. Even if you're not going to implement it immediately, play with it. See what's out there, because you do not want to be behind when everybody else is moving forward. And things to look forward to is actually voice advertising. So if your Alexa or Google Home is in the house, it can give you advertising through there now. So they're starting to move towards that, which is very interesting. So if your industry or your niche kind of could be tailored towards that, that's definitely something for you to keep an eye out for. And also augmented reality. So you've seen the VR goggles, and, when COVID was at its peak, people were, really playing with that. And that's definitely something that's going to be more and more prevalent in our industry. And whether it's, if you're walking through a little landscape and you see marketing, or you have somebody come up to you and talk about it, there's a lot of different ways that they're trying to integrate that into viewership, and it's certainly something to try to be on top of mind if that's something that your organization could tailor to.
Love it.
Yeah, it's super important to keep staying up to date on what's new in the industry and be kind of ahead of the trends. And especially you want to be there kind of before your competitors and be the first to branch into that. So in your opinion, are there any emerging marketing trends or technologies that businesses should keep their eye out for in the future?
Yeah, so a little bit of what I just mentioned, but certainly right now is AI. So all of your chat GPTs, any kind of programs that are going to auto populate. I've seen today actually, I think it popped out like this weekend where chat GPT and Canva have now integrated. So Canva is basically a editing tool for graphics, videos, various different things. And ChatGPT is going to be able, it's like a prompt maker essentially, using artificial intelligence. It's very fast. So if I was like, create a social media post for a divorce lawyer targeting an audience of newly separated individuals, and I plugged in Canva, it would create a graphic that would perfectly align with a prompt within 3 seconds, and you can post it out. Now, obviously, ChatGPT is going to be pulling on every single post on the internet, so you certainly need to filter it, add tone, and it's a good starting place. I wouldn't always say copy, paste, and use ChatGPT, but the integration with Canva is certainly a game changer. So if you're looking to kind of use something new, try something out, I would definitely try that.
Love it. I feel like AI is definitely all the rage right now. So I've been an early adopter, and I've talked about that before. And I think that it's a very powerful tool, but it's definitely not something that should replace you. You definitely need to keep a very close eye on it and make sure that you're adding and augmenting and, you know, putting your voice behind it. Just make sure that it's supposed to streamline, not replace. So just make sure that you're using it with that in the back of your mind.
Absolutely.
Well, Kennedy, this has been amazing. You've definitely given us a lot of nuggets that I think that anybody in any industry can lever. And it's been amazing to talk to you. And I really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, we will be back next week to talk to you guys about, we're going to do a little bit of a product dump, which is going to be really fun. Misha and I are going to share with you guys some of our favorite products that we've been using recently, and also some of our favorite books. It's going to be a really compilation of all the things we've been loving recently. We're also going to tap Kennedy and ask her to contribute hers as well. So you're going to get the opinion of 3 ladies next week. So we hope you guys decide to tune in.
Yeah. And hope everybody enjoys the rest of their Wine Wednesday. See y'all next week.
Bye, guys.